Am I the a-hole for insisting that I have nothing to apologize for after my husband read my diary? This one has a new final update, originally posted in r/am I the a-hole on November 5th, 2022. I'm trying to stay focused here, but my edibles have kicked in and I need advice. I've kept a diary since I was 10. It is my form of therapy and I do not police my thoughts. I have never let anyone read my diary. My husband and I started dating over a decade ago. One day, a couple months in, he was over at my apartment and I had hopped in the shower. When I came out, he was sitting on the bed, shell-shocked. He said he read my journal, which was mostly about my life as a newly single woman. He told me it really stung to read all that. How'd you find it? He said he was looking for matches. He couldn't tell me why he kept reading, even after he knew what it was. But his apology was sincere and I forgave him. Not too long after that, things got messy. He started getting either very sad or very angry while referring to things he read. His feelings were so intense that I started apologizing for my thoughts. Anyway, we got married. Chat, can we just get together and universally decide getting with a bitch ass man like this who gets all wee woo, oh, you're a woman with wants and needs that has sex with other people before you knew that I existed? That makes me feel sad. Baby back fucking bitch, bro. Normalize telling these men to go fuck themselves and get the fuck over it. Hey, bro, if you didn't like what you were reading, you could have just stopped fucking reading. Also, you probably shouldn't be reading that to start. It's not your thing to read. Girl, I get it. He shouldn't be reading it, but you shouldn't have fucking married this guy. I'll say it. The call was coming from inside the house, and it wasn't a call. It was a fucking bullhorn directly into your ear. This man is insecure as fuck, and he's going to cross your boundaries. A decade later, I was thinking of a divorce and wrote a ton to process my thoughts about some sensitive topics. Again, he stumbled upon my journal and read it all. I guarantee he is not stumbling upon the journal. He is making it a habit to read said journal whenever he can. I was pissed, but he convinced me that he would never do it again. Besides, he was really hurt by the things I wrote, and I felt bad. I let it go, but he started getting sad or angry again, thinking about what he had read. Once more, the intensity of his feelings led me to apologize for my thoughts. Now here we are, married with kids, setting up Scrabble on a Friday night. He went to find a piece of paper and came back quiet and distracted. I asked if everything was okay. He looked at me sharply and told me that he had just read my journal. Dude, listen, you should not be reading her journal. This should not be the case in a marriage when you want a little bit of privacy to be able to sort out your thoughts. That being said, if you're gonna stay in this marriage, get a safe. Come on, girl. This guy sucks. If you're gonna decide to stay with him, I think you just need to accept that he's going to try to read your journal, and therefore you should have somewhere you can keep it where he can't find it. If you're gonna stay here, I think you should have left like 10 years ago, definitely before you had kids, but here we are. I tensed, thinking of how I recently tackled some tough feelings related to our different ethnic and religious backgrounds. I wrote things that would have been hurtful to read, and I was mortified knowing that he did read them, but I was also annoyed. Wait, you read my journal again? He blamed me for leaving it out and accused me of being a bad person for what I wrote, but honestly, I wasn't listening to him anymore. I just wanted to know why we were dealing with this again. It's pretty fucking basic knowledge that one shouldn't read other people's diaries, right? But look at him, forcing his way into my brain and shaming me for what he saw. I surprised myself by slamming my hand on the table. A third time? I'm guessing OP said that to her husband. We were both hurt, but he was accusing me of overreacting while minimizing and deflecting from his behavior. He called me overly emotional when I cried over how violated I felt. This feels so wrong, like I committed a thought crime. So am I the a-hole for insisting he's 100% wrong? I'm so mad, but I am doubting whether my reaction was proportional to what he did. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being terrible, what would you rate someone reading your journal? And would you apologize for the things you wrote? Here's what I will say, chat. This man should not be violating OP's privacy. I'll die on that hill. He should not be such an insecure bitch. The only thing that I want to bring up is while yes, you are entitled to your own thoughts and you're allowed to dissect your marriage in written form because that helps sort out your thoughts. I do think it might not be helpful to your marriage to not be talking about these thoughts with your husband. I want to clarify, maybe OP is. That wasn't explicitly said in the story, and I'm not getting the vibe that she is. As much as like the husband is more of an a-hole than OP here, I think I want to go with everyone sucks here. Assuming she's not communicating the things that she's journaling about to the husband, not talking about the beginning of their relationship where she was just talking about her hooking up with other dudes while she's single, but more about her doubts around the marriage that they are both in together. I think OP is a little bit of the a-hole. Not as much as the husband, but a little bit. Okay, cool. It looks like a lot of people are agreeing with the everyone sucks here. That might be controversial for the video. I wasn't reading that Reddit story and thinking, oh, they've clearly found ways around and getting through their issues together in a healthy manner that two people in a marriage should do. That's not what I'm picking up here. Because if that were the case, he would not be reading her journal. On the actual post, OP did drop an edit and an update. The edit is, I am overwhelmed. For those suggesting therapy, I've been in it for a long time, and I credit it for listening to the little voice in my head instead of ignoring it. Therapy gave me the insight to see what he was doing in real time. But to those saying you're the a-hole and everyone sucks here, all I can say is that this type of behavior has been normalized so much for me, and I have been gaslit for so long that I automatically convinced myself it wasn't that bad. I feel like I'm emerging from the upside down and I have to relearn basic social norms. You have no idea how sad all of this makes me. And then the update on the post says, we talked today and he continued to minimize what he did and kept steering the conversation to how hurt he was reading what I wrote. I kept asking him if I shared those things willingly with him. When he said no, I told him that he can then deal with the consequences of his own actions by himself. I kept stressing to him what a big violation it was and that I needed space to think. Okay, so like I get what she's saying and it has a lot of merit to it, but I think she kind of answered our question. She hasn't been sharing the thoughts about her marriage willingly with him, which, like, don't get me wrong, the answer isn't to read the diary, but I also don't think the answer is to write it in a diary and then keep it there. Obviously, I'm not married, but if I'm in a marriage and my wife is having issues with our marriage, I wouldn't want her to just write about it in a journal. I would want her to write about it in a journal and then come to me with said journal and share her thoughts with me so that we can work on our marriage. The journal is there to like sort out the thoughts, you know, and like anything unrelated to our marriage. Obviously, don't tell me about it if you don't want to, but like related to our marriage, related to issues that you're having and doubts that you're having about our marriage, I feel like that is something you talk about. And she just admitted that she doesn't do that, which, like, don't get me wrong, the husband still is gaslighting her. The husband is still not recognizing and validating that her privacy has been violated. But I don't know. I don't think she's doing marriage correctly. I guess he's been stewing about it for the last few hours because tonight he started to yell at me in front of our kids and angrily tell them about what I wrote. He literally told them that I don't like that they are from his culture. Fuck, man. Why are you hurting them? To hurt me? I was pleading with him to stop and trying to cover his mouth. The kids were shrieking and sobbing, and he was yelling and wild-eyed. The chaos of tonight just broke me. I had flashbacks of my childhood, screaming and crying on a stairwell, watching my dad go after my mom. Long ago, I had promised that I would never put my kids through something like that. I tried to get them out of the house since he wasn't stopping, but we only got as far as my car where the three of us sat crying while I kept apologizing to them and trying to reassure them. God, how did I get to this point? Okay, you know what? I actually would need to know the culture to be able to decide what I think about this. Because if the culture is women shouldn't have jobs and should just be obedient wives that pump out kids, then I kind of agree with her. But if it's like, I don't like that he is bringing in Japanese culture to our household, then I'm not as on her side. But I would venture to guess it was more towards the former, not the latter, just from his reaction in this paragraph. This is unacceptable. You should have gotten in the car with your kids and driven as far away as possible as you could with them. I know that probably legally wouldn't be the smartest thing to do, but for their safety, I think it would be the smartest thing to do. I think it's safe to say a divorce is 100% needed. I don't think this is worth working out, no matter which scenario this fits, by the way. I think there are a lot of questions just in terms of like OP's doing, and maybe some questions about whether OP's the a-hole or not for not communicating, but no matter what the answer to that is, this man sounds fucking awful. Awful, dude. Get yourself and the kids away from him as soon as possible. That is the only right answer here. With this outburst, I think now it raises the question of like, is OP safe? Because I think everything I said about OP sucking was assuming that she's not in an abusive relationship. If she's not in a relationship where she doesn't feel like she can share these things, then she doesn't suck. What I will say though is like, you should get out of that. If you are in a relationship where you feel like you can't communicate to your partner when you think something is wrong, it's time to pull out. It's time to go get those divorce papers rocking and rolling. We got update 2, November 17th, 2022, about 12 days after the original post. The kids and I are safe and I am divorcing my husband. The incident that I posted about was so jarring that I could no longer downplay the abuse. I understood then that it would be so much worse for my kids to grow up in a household like that than to grow up with divorced parents. I did want to take this opportunity to talk to the people who seem flabbergasted that I had not left him earlier. I know Reddit can be cruel sometimes, but to shame someone for staying in an abusive relationship is just so ignorant. A person stays with an abuser for a myriad of reasons: fear, shame, mental health issues, lack of resources, lack of support, lack of money, the partner's coercive control, etc. Please educate yourself on abusive relationships before writing judgmental comments. In my case, I stayed because he was so good at manipulating and gaslighting, at sowing doubt and confusion, that I started taking notes during arguments because I felt like I was going crazy. He would say things and then deny up and down that he said them. He would tell me that I misinterpreted his words, or that I had a bad memory, or that I had anger issues. Meanwhile, he was the one punching at walls, breaking things, lying, and following me from room to room as I was trying to get away from him. After years and years of this, I left only when I saw how much staying would hurt my kids. To those in emotionally abusive relationships like mine, I want you to know that I see you. This is real abuse, even if it doesn't leave physical scars. It's so wild to me, and I guess just obviously different people, different backgrounds, different raisings. Like from the beginning, this should never have been a 10-year relationship. Like getting to the point of marriage is diabolical. I mean, the stars must have aligned, right? Like if my friend came to me and was like, I started dating this guy and he started reading my diary, that would throw me off so hard. I would be like, what? New updates here. We have one from January 21st, 2023, 3 months-ish after the original post and the update. In May 2022, I took a break from my marriage because my husband's verbal abuse was escalating. He moved out for a few weeks. Some of the things that he said during our last fight, but had said many times before, were that I'm a failure, no one likes me, and I'm socially awkward. I have a graduate degree, I make good money, and I have friends, but I still believed him. During our separation, I signed up for a dating site. This was not to date or hook up with anyone, and I did not meet up or talk with anyone. It was only to see if I was really as undesirable as he made me out to be. He was wrong. I felt better about myself, and I deleted my account. Like Ross from Friends, I thought this was okay since we were on a break. I recognized that I should have set ground rules with my husband during the break, and I apologized to him about that. We tried to work on our marriage, but as those who read my other posts now know, I am divorcing him. This time during our separation, we set ground rules. One of them, at his request, was that we refrain from dating sites and dating in general until the divorce is finalized. We both agreed. 2 days ago, I got a bank notification about some weird charges. When I looked into it, I saw that he had joined 2 dating apps and mistakenly charged our joint account. Damn, not only is bro using dating apps, but paying for them? I took a screenshot and sent it to him without a comment. He responded that it was okay for him to do that because I did it in the past. When I mentioned that we discussed and agreed to not do that, he said, I'm just doing what you did. I said he was the one who specifically asked that we not join sites until the divorce was finalized. But again, he said that I did it last time, so it's okay that he did it. He's now acting overly friendly so that I will let this issue go, but I feel deceived and can't go back to trying to be amicable with him. I mean, I don't think you should be amicable with him, period, but sure. I decided to limit our conversations to our mediation sessions, but he continues to insist he did nothing wrong and is accusing me of withdrawing, like I always do, and of making the divorce contentious. Am I the a-hole for being bothered by what he did? I don't trust him, which makes me want to pull away, but maybe he's right that I don't know how to respond in a healthy way. He always accuses me of overreacting to things or of having unhealthy emotional responses, So if someone could please tell me what the healthy way to respond to this would be, I'm all ears. Tell him to go fuck himself? Like, get on a dating site and go fuck somebody who isn't going to treat you poorly? You know what would be incredible, chat? If she went and just fucked a dude, wrote about it in her journal, and then sent it to this guy. Like, I'm all for the nuclear revenge. This guy is such a baby back bitch. Yeah, I mean, not the a-hole. I think just reading that, there is so much more healing that needs to be done here. And low-key, y'all, I think she needs to have as little contact with this person as possible. I know they have kids and they probably have to have some sorts of contact, but it does sound like they are talking maybe more than they should. I want to know what these mediation sessions are. Are they like mediating about the divorce, or are they just getting together and talking about their problems and about their kids and stuff? I don't know. We do have one more update here, March 28th, 2023. Several months ago, I turned to Reddit because I knew something was wrong in my marriage, but I needed an outside perspective to tell me how wrong. I was the proverbial frog in boiling water. Since then, I've asked myself repeatedly why I didn't leave earlier. Then I remembered that I did try to end things a couple of months after we started dating. He was love bombing me and I felt smothered. When I told him that I wanted space, he was devastated. I see now that that was the turning point. I prioritized his feelings over mine. I gave him the benefit of every doubt. I convinced myself that the red flags I was seeing were aberrations. It hurts thinking about how much precious time I wasted on him. Here's my update then. I moved into my new place 2 days ago. Our home closed escrow and the details of our divorce are finalized. These past few months were a unique kind of hell, but I am now bursting with hope and happiness. I am finally free of him. I mean, what about your kid? Or not kid, kids. Like, I kind of want information about how the divorce played out, because like, what about them kids, bro? Did you get full custody? Are you free from him? Because like, you have kids with him, you know? I'm a little scared, y'all. OP has evidence, but just knowing courts. Granted, we don't know what country that is, but I just feel like in general, courts are not great about giving full custody when full custody should be given. And you know what, chat? I'm not a fan of the fact that every single time we read, there were a lot of questions that I felt like weren't answered. I know OP's going through a lot of shit, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, there was a lot missing. Did OP say that there was any physical abuse towards the kids or to the wife? He was the one punching walls, breaking things, lying, and following me from room to room as I was trying to get away from him. None of that stuff is good, but and this is just genuinely me not knowing. Is any of that good enough to get full custody? I'm a little concerned about, like, if she's free from him, does that mean that maybe she got rid of custody for her kids? I don't think she would do that, but I'm not reading this like, oh, she clearly has like an airtight case against this guy to get full custody of her kids. I could be wrong. OP could not be giving us all the information that we need to be able to make that decision, but that's just what I was concerned about. Katana, this is how I feel. I feel like courts get a hard on for 50-50 custody. And a lot of courts, I feel like, don't take emotional abuse that seriously. I feel like most courts need physical abuse evidence, or else they're just not going to split up the custody. Ooh, Asian Fury, she did say, I'm free, not we're free. I don't know, this whole story just made me feel so icky, chat.